Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Kimmler. Our next guest is the star of the hit Netflix show Atypical, now in its second season. Keir Gilchrist plays Sam Gardner, a teenager on the spectrum dealing with family, high school, and relationships. Let's take a look.
Oh, Casey, good news.
Oh, Elsa, I don't care.
Why are you calling Mom Elsa?
Your Clayton uniform came today. It is adorable. It just looks smart. What do you two think of the roast? I tried a new prepackaged spice mix.
Cheater.
For most mammalian species, survival depends on knowing and sticking with your pack. Stop sitting on me like an egg. I'm not an egg.
Chip, chip. Chip, chip.
But the members of my pack keep migrating to other schools.
I hate it there.
Just give it a chance.
Hi, I'm Casey.
Don't care.
To other houses.
You threw a grenade into our lives. I can't be around you.
Or just away from me. It's a mystery. What was once something that seemed so rock solid, it cracks wide open.
Before you know it, you are so deep, it's impossible to dig yourself back out.
Does anyone find it difficult to deal with change?
But there's always a way out.
I know it's gonna be difficult, but you can handle it.
He hasn't applied to any colleges.
I have no idea what I should do.
You have to start making decisions for yourself. What do you want to do?
Everybody has setbacks.
Oh.
You can't let that bring you down.
We'll figure this out, okay?
I used my discount to get you these pencils for school.
You didn't have to do that.
I'm your big brother. I can take care of you sometimes, too.
They must look like terrible parents.
No, you seem like people.
It's a rough world out there. That's why you need your family.
I like that we're secure enough to do this semi-regularly.
I'm neutral about it.
Everybody, please welcome Keir Gilchrist. Hey, man, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So my first question when it comes to playing this character, which I think you do wonderfully, you do incredibly well, how much pressure do you put on yourself every day playing this person? And you have to add certain tics and mannerisms, and you have to represent something, but you don't want to go too far, and you don't want to make anything comical in the way that you represent it. So how much pressure do you put on yourself? How do you get into that place?
I put a huge amount of pressure on myself. I mean, I wouldn't say I fully just put it on myself. It's just part of the job. I mean, having this big of a part on a TV series is always, I mean, I've never done it before, so that's one part of it. But then playing Sam, it's just, there's so much consideration that needs to go into every single scene and every single moment that I really don't get. I wouldn't call it relaxing ever at work. So it's, yeah.
Well, it's like that scene that we just saw in the trailer where you give her the pencils, right? It's a nice thing that you're doing that she likes, but it's also something kind of funny and maybe something that he's sort of misreading, which adds to a layer of humor of it. But you don't in any way, as an actor and doing the job that you're doing a good job, you don't want to overplay that, and you don't want to make it seem like he's consistently confused. Like you don't want to, you don't want to make it look bad or make us laugh at him, essentially.
Yeah, I think that's, because, we have a whole team, including the writers and directors that come on, and I think everybody is very much on the same page that we're never laughing at Sam. I mean, Sam is really funny, and a lot of what Sam does is really funny, but that was always a concern from the beginning, was that we never wanted to feel like we were making fun of him or anything. And
it's that thin line that I imagine would add a lot of pressure, is like when he's doing something funny, having to take those beats to be like, what are we laughing at right now? Let's double check.
Yeah, and we'd stop a lot on set, actually, especially during the first season when we were still, figuring Sam out. And, there are a lot of times that we'll just stop for 20 minutes and go, hey, can we call Rabia in and maybe make a call to one of our experts, consultants, and just make sure that everybody feels good about what's going on here. And I always feel like I have that ability to just kind of put a pause because I get confused too. There are times where I'm looking at the scene and maybe I'm just misreading it, but I need some clarification. And so it's a real team effort in terms of keeping it at the right tone, I guess.
And they established a tone on set where you could kind of consistently ask questions all the time to figure this out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Rabia especially, our creator, is there all the time. And I just can't say enough. She puts in so many hours. She's always there on call. And she has a kid. And there were a lot of times during the first season she would even have to sleep at work sometimes because she's not only there for us and then writing the next episodes and then also editing episodes we've already shot. And so there are so many different people that are just on call at all times. And so it feels very supportive.
It's not all red carpet and awards, everybody.
That's not what it's about for us.
When you signed on to do the show, what were your first questions? What gave you the biggest pause?
I mean, it's easy, I guess, to say sign on. I read the script.
I guess you probably auditioned.
I auditioned many times, actually.
Do you remember how many times?
I want to say 6 or 7 or something like that, which is normal to get a part like that on a TV series, especially given where I'm at in my career. It was a long process, and we were even trying to figure Sam out in that process.
Were you adjusting the performance and character as you were moving through those 6 auditions?
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that Netflix and Sony really wanted to see different versions of Sam so we could sort of figure it out, because they also really wanted to find the tone of the show and really hone in on that. As much as, I guess, signing on, I was committed from the second I met Rabia, and we had talked the script over for a few hours, and that was before my first audition, and I wanted to do this. And in fact, I rarely get like this, but this was the one time that I was like, I didn't want my friends to even talk about it. Like, I did not want to jinx it, and people would ask for months, understandably, like, hey, did you hear about that show yet? And I please let's not talk about it right now. It's the thing I want more than anything, so...
and you're kind of choosy, right? In terms of the stuff that you go out for?
Yeah, no, I'm very picky, and it's something that I've been really lucky to have reps that understand that about me, and they know that if I'm not feeling something, it's just not really going to happen. And but they also know what I like, so my agent Dar, he sent me the Atypical script and said, I think this is like one of the standout, scripts going this pilot season, and you'd be perfect for it. And so they kind of let me know when it's something I should really take a look at. But I will say that it's affected my career in some ways. I think some people will they have this kind of really fast trajectory of, like, they get one thing and then they get a bigger thing and they do a bigger thing. Whereas I've been working for 15, almost 16 years and just sort of being really picky and slowly building up my resume.
Right. Well, you have a couple really great movies under your belt, or a few really great movies under your belt, and now you have this and United States of Tara for 2 great shows that people love. So, I mean, it helps to be picky, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes I've had friends in their careers who kind of end up, it happens too fast, and they all of a sudden step back and go, oh, what am I doing right now, and what is this going to lead to, and, why did I do that? And I've
spent 6 months on this movie, and the paycheck is great, but every day kind of is a nightmare or something.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I've seen that with people, and that was a good, honestly, because I was young and I got to work with all these great older actors that had been doing it for a long time. They really hammered that home too for me. Like, whatever choices you make, it will affect your career, and sometimes you can't go back if you make the wrong choice. It's really hard to kind of claw your way back and reestablish yourself.
Have you ever found, without naming anything, that oftentimes, as a person who myself, I consider myself particularly choosy, but oftentimes, I mean, not in regards to taking roles as an actor, but even being choosy, you make the wrong choice, and something comes out really great, and you say, oh, I wish I actually hadn't chosen against that. Have you had that happen?
Oh yeah. I've watched some movies later and went, oh man, I really need to get off my high horse. That was really great. And then there's sometimes scripts too that you don't know, but you take the chance. Like with It Follows, it wasn't very clear. I found the script very strange, and I didn't really understand it, but.
I see that not working in a script. But
if you read the screenplay without any context, or it's a really, really strange script. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then I met David, and I was like, oh, this guy's really smart, and we get along really well. I'm gonna go do this. And I didn't get paid very much to do that movie. We had no money, but I did not expect that to blow up the way that it did, and all of a sudden we're going to all these film festivals. So,
It's one of the few horror movies. We get more of them now, but one of the few horror movies that kind of transcended the genre and was liked a lot by critics and different kinds of audiences as well.
Yeah, and again, when we were in Detroit working for very little, everyone's like working these crazy hours. The crew's just, breaking their necks to get it done. You just don't expect that, it's going to get critical acclaim. We knew it would probably be scary. But even that, you don't know if it's going to be scary. So, and that, I really love that movie because that's the kind of horror that I like too. I like more poignant, I guess, slow burn kind of stuff instead of, I'm not about like jump scares really.
Jumping into Atypical, you have Michael Rappaport and you have the great Jennifer Jason Leigh, one of the best actresses of ever, maybe. What's it like working with her?
Oh, it's excellent. I mean, again, she was attached when I first read the script. I think she was the only one attached. And one of my auditions I actually had to read with her because she's also a producer. And that was nerve-wracking, going on Skype with her. I mean, she's been doing this for so long and has been in all these iconic movies. But at the same time, you don't feel that when you meet her at all. She seems just super down to earth, really humble. She's often humming on set and singing, and she's like in a great mood. And then Michael, I mean, you kind of, what you're getting with Michael, he does not disappoint. I know you guys had him on here, and it's
Michael a number of times, yeah.
Oh, you have? Okay, yeah. So it's wild, I guess, doing this. It never changes the longer I do this, that every once in a while you're going, wow, I'm actually sitting in a room with this person, and we have a personal relationship now, and that's strange.
Do you guys ever intentionally wind up Michael on set? I feel like a group of people could just be like, hey, watch this, I'm gonna go ask Michael about the game last night. And then just like back off after he answers and like let him explode.
Yeah, I don't do that because I can't talk sports. So, but if I could, I might. If I knew the triggers, it might be fun. But I don't personally wind him up at all, but he gets wound up.
He gets wound up.
Yeah, regardless.
Crew members are like, yo, check out this last thing.
Yeah,
and
they know about it, so I'll stand and watch them, but I'll ask him about hip-hop or something like that, and I can get some really funny reactions. But
yeah, he's got a broad knowledge of like 90s hip-hop.
Yeah, even modern stuff. I mean, while we were shooting, he had Young M.A. on his podcast, and I was like, I was like, what was that like? I love her, so, so that's more where we relate, because I know nothing about sports at all, like, completely nothing. I don't know what.
I don't either.
Yeah, I just totally, yeah.
You're a musician as well. You have a couple bands. They are in the hardcore, grindcore genre. How did you get into that type of music?
I grew up, my dad, when I was 14 or something, I was really frustrated and angry and, got bullied and hated going to school. And he handed me the Minor Threat discography on CD. And was like, put this in your Walkman.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, and I was like, this is me. Like, I'm Ian MacKaye. And
He's new.
Oh, he knew, like, he was like, this will be good for him. And not only did I not do drugs or drink all through high school because of the straight edge thing, which I took very seriously.
Oh, that is such a good idea for
I know.
a dad.
Yeah, seriously, give your kids some Youth of Today or Minor Threat. It's really smart. Keep them off drugs. I just, got more and more into it. And even the whole time I was acting, it's so funny. I used to anxiously be waiting on a Friday night on set on US of Terra to be like, oh, can we leave soon? And my mom would be like, calm down, you're at work. And I'd be like, yeah, but there's a punk band playing, and I really want to go to that after this. And that's always been my, passion. And then, it developed from punk to, like, more anarcho-punk, and then crust, and then grind, and power violence, stuff like that. And that's I still love all that stuff. I still love going to shows. And, like, my favorite thing ever is going to, like, a basement show or a backyard show and seeing a bunch of, like, 17-year-olds playing really angry music. And like moshing, it's so much fun.
Drinking tall boys and like what?
Oh yeah, yeah, no, it's great. I'll never get over it.
Bearded dudes drinking tall boys and watching.
Yep, yeah, no.
When did you start playing?
Well, the first time I actually started playing in actual bands, like I messed around with bass and then drums, and then I've always liked rhythm stuff. And then a friend of mine who later became my roommate, it was the only other person I'd met in LA so far who also liked the same kind of music, and so we were like, yo, and he had started this band, and he asked if I wanted to try doing vocals. I'd never done vocals before, but I love it, so that's how it started.
Is there a decent grindcore scene in LA?
Oh, this is a really great. I mean, in fact, a lot of my friends in the rest of the world envy how great like West Coast grind and power violence is. It's kind of it's where a lot of it started. Bands like Terrorizer and there's all like a lot of the early power violence stuff comes out of California, and so yeah, there's a really, really strong scene. Tons of people are into it, and the crowds are really young, which I love. You go to hardcore shows sometimes, and it's like old dude hardcore, and everyone just has their arms crossed, and that's no fun. I want to see kids like kill each other. It's really fun. Yeah.
You want to see the pits?
Oh yeah, I love it. There's nothing like it. I was in a pit the other day.
How'd it go?
Good. I just got one punch in the elbow and thrown into the wall a few times, but yeah, it wasn't too bad. It's always different when it's like the beat down hardcore scene is different. Like when they start swinging their arms and like kicking people in the head and throwing chairs around. That's where it gets a little scary, but yeah.
What do your since you've been listening to music like this, like what do your castmates normally say, or do they not necessarily know?
They're very supportive. I don't think necessarily everybody
Anyone
gets
come to
it.
a show?
Yeah, actually. I've been able to I got Bridget out to a show once.
How'd it go?
She had fun, I think. Yeah, she actually liked it. She had a good time. Again, I don't think it's like her type of music, but it was fun to see us perform. And then I got Nick out, who plays Zahid. He came to 2 shows now, and he, was a little scared about getting hurt, but he was fine. And yeah, I've been able to drag a lot of my castmates out to my shows, but I always tell people, like, don't feel like you need to come at all. Right. I tell my girlfriend all the time, I'm like, please don't feel like you need to come, and she's down. She loves it. She comes to every show, and yeah. Is it
the kind of, would you call it a hobby, or would you call it like a passion that you're pursuing in the same way that you're pursuing acting?
It's maybe a little of both. I think mostly it's a hobby. There's no money. Right. Even, the biggest bands that do this kind of music don't make money. They break even, it's like... Yeah, I mean, it's not. If you're trying to make money in music, don't start a grindcore band. It's a bad move. But I think what makes it sort of passionate for me is that the money's gone and it's not a career thing, and so I can put a lot of my passion into it because I'm just doing it to do it, and like if I don't do it, I'll go crazy. So, yeah. I don't know. Is there
do you get a catharsis from acting at all, or has acting for you essentially become a job and a craft?
There's always a catharsis with acting, but my personal relationship is slightly different because I've been doing it so long. It does feel a little more like work because I've been on set since I was 10, and so some of the magic goes away. It's it's not like, oh wow, what are we doing here? I mean, I've done it so many times. I've spent so many hours on set. But I also think, yeah, without acting, I'd probably lose it as well. But with music, it feels more, it's like my own thing. It's my own words. It's my own lyrics. It's how I want to express myself. So it's different in that way.
When you're acting, say, you're doing a scene in Atypical, and as much as the lights and the set aren't as, awesome as they once were, or mind-boggling as they once were, do you still find yourself blown away by getting to do certain types of scenes and getting to perform in, a scene where maybe you have to break down or freak out, or is that something that's still...
Yeah, well, the weird thing, too, is, every once in a while I do still check myself and go, okay, today I'm getting hit by a car, or today I get to fall off a whatever, and I think, or today we're shooting a scene with 500 extras. It's hard not to go, wow, this is pretty wild that this is a job that you can do. Again, I don't come from a background of my family doesn't do it. I don't like...
You fell into it to a certain degree, right? In Toronto, you just randomly auditioned as a kid.
Yeah, I used to take a drama class at the Boys and Girls Club down the street from my house. There was I think it was free or whatever. My mom has a terrible fear of speaking in public, and so she wanted my brother and I to, go and not have that fear. And then the drama teacher there thought I was really good and said, hey, there's an open call, open cattle call. And I was like, I don't know what that is. Okay, can I go, Mom? And she was like, yeah. And so we went, and then the casting director, Millie Tom, she called Amanda Rosenthal, who's still my agent to this day, 15 years later, and was like, I have this kid here, and he's pretty talented. And then, I basically begged my parents, could I do it? They really didn't like the idea of a child actor. No, I mean, again, that's not no one in my family does anything like that. And you hear all the horror stories about child actors, and you know, there are many. I've even witnessed many of the people I grew up with kind of fall off the map. And
the last thing they needed was you feeling like you could order everybody around or something.
oh yeah, no, there was a lot of concerns, but ultimately they just laid down really solid ground rules, and were like, my mom was writing her thesis at the time, so she had time to take us to auditions. And but you know, if you get a big head, we're gonna call your agents and you'll be done. And if your grades slip at school, you're not gonna be left without a backup. So that's just not okay. So it was a lot of pressure to do well in school, which is hard enough, and then also be doing auditions and working. But it kept my head on straight, and so.
But you liked doing it. You liked auditioning and working so much that you wanted to do both.
Yeah, but again, too, it's, you know, from a 10-year-old's mind, I'm not sure exactly what I thought of it. I remember just thinking, wow, this is really cool and fun, and all these people are really nice, and I'm putting money away for college, and so that, you know, saving all that I could. My parents didn't let me spend much at all, and so that's really how I looked at it. And then at some point, it came time to be like, okay, well, now you're not a kid anymore. Do you want to do this full time? And I did some soul searching and decided I wanted to at least give it a try.
You've said that this is probably the last time you're going to play a teenager. Is that true?
I would like to get away from the high school thing. I mean, I'm 26 in a couple weeks, so.
Happy birthday on upcoming.
Thank you. And I mean, I know I look young, but it more just comes down to if I read a script that really, you know, I'll still look at scripts, but generally speaking, the high school stories just, I can't relate as much anymore, and I want to break into, you know, more adult roles and more, you know, adult stuff. So, I mean, 10 years of doing scenes in high school hallways with lockers, it hit me at one point, and I was like, I've been doing this for 10 years. Like, it's, I'm a little sick of it, but, you know, I think it's time to move forward. But that's not saying there may be something, I don't know, but I'm trying to move in that direction.
Let's get some questions from our audience. Who has a question?
Hi. I wanted to know, since you just said you wouldn't want to do high school roles anymore, what other roles would you consider doing in the future? Possibly college or anything more than that?
Yeah, I mean, college is something that I haven't really done much of. And for me, my dream roles would be like any period piece stuff. I would love to do a Western. I really like shows like even Peaky Blinders and stuff like that. Like any kind of period stuff would be kind of a dream come true. But genre-wise, I don't mind as much, but anything that kind of, that's a new challenge. Yeah. Thanks.
Next question.
So I was wondering on Atypical and just in general who your acting inspirations are.
On Atypical, I tried to actually look less at other actors when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with Sam, and did more like research on actual people that are on the spectrum, because I really wanted it to be my own thing and to ring as true as possible. But generally speaking, I like a lot more character actors, like even Paul Giamatti is one of my favorite actors. Christian Bale is incredible. It's interesting, though, because the actors I like aren't a lot like me, so they inspire me in terms of I respect the kind of variety of work that they've done, but I don't necessarily see myself having a similar career to a lot of the people that I look up to.
Paul Giamatti's amazing, and
I love him.
He has such an incredible body of work, but he's also, I don't know when it happened recently, but I was looking at his movies from like 95 to like 2001, and there's just this slate of incredible 90s independent film that he was a part of.
I also love, one of my favorite things he's in is actually the John Adams miniseries. I've watched that like 5 times, and I don't know what it is, but I just can't stop watching it. And I know to some it would be kind of boring, but I just love him in that. He's so good.
What is your favorite part about playing Sam?
I think my favorite part about playing Sam is, you know, especially now that we're 2 seasons down, is that it was a huge challenge. I was really scared about doing a bad job or letting anybody down, both in the autism community and the people that I work with. And so to know that I was able to actually accomplish that is a huge confidence boost. And also I think, you know, through this role, I've met a lot of people who are on the spectrum, or their family members are, or it's somehow affected their lives, and to see how important the show is for them, it's bigger than us. And I think we all realize that after season 1, that this is not really about us. We're doing something that means the world to people, and that's huge. I mean, that's amazing.
What is that feeling like when you realize that? Because that's such an interesting thing to realize, that sure, you're making TV, you get to act, and everybody, you know, the lights are there and the cameras and everything, but then when you walk away, you're not just meeting a fan who likes you because you're on TV, but because you represent something greater to them that no one has yet.
Well, it's weird to me because I don't think of myself as, I don't have a hugely high opinion of myself in general, and every once in a while, you know, I'm just walking down the street, like walking my dog or something, and not thinking about anything really, and then somebody will come up. You know, I remember this woman came up to me, and she just started bawling immediately, like crying, like almost sobbing, and just wanted to talk for a few minutes, and her son was on the spectrum, and it always just takes me by surprise, because I don't think of myself in that way. Like, I don't expect that reaction to be elicited from seeing me, but and it's not.
It'd be weird if you did. If you went around like, "Why aren't you crying at me?"
Yeah. Sorry, you didn't cry. Come back and.
Excuse me. Why didn't you cry when you walked by?
No, but I mean, I've never had a role like that. I mean, somewhat on United States of Terror, I had a lot of, you know, like people who are gay who came up to me, and it meant a lot to them, but not on this level, because this is something that has not been shown in this way before, and it's inspired people. We've heard some stories that just blow our minds, like people who have kids who. I remember one person, I think Bridget, met someone, and they were saying that their son was maybe in his 20s, and he didn't date. He never has tried dating. He, you know, didn't ever think that was possible. And all of a sudden, after watching the show, he wants to get out there and try it. Or, you know, I've had people tell me their kid has autism, and they've never really even liked a show or paid attention to TV, and all of a sudden, they find their first show that they're really into. And I mean, I don't know. It's giving me a little shivers right now. It's weird.
I think we have time for one more. No, we're done. Okay, there's no more questions. Okay, thanks. Atypical is on Netflix now. Keir, I love your work. Thank you so much for stopping by. Everybody, a big round of applause for Keir Gilchrist. Let's hear it.
Thank you.